Hello, YouTube! I am Pinstar, and this is Stellaris Strategy and Tactics, Episode 1, with the bureaucratic bureaucracies. So, we have just we have divined into our game, and here we are, a little speck in a huge galaxy. Kind of right dab in the middle of everything. As far as our hyperlane things go, not necessarily my favorite. I mean, obviously we'll have to send science ships out to get a lay of the land, but as far as like choke points and all go, kind of hard to defend this mess. I mean, we could choke point up here. We could choke point here. We could choke point actually all the way over here. That would cover this whole thing. And then we'd choke point down here. Still 4 points of entry into our home world here. So we're going to need to keep on our toes depending on who our neighbors are. Right then, so first things first, let's take a look at our scientists and what our initial cards are. Let's see here. Alright, good, bad, bad. Okay, that's about typical. Alright, so for our first physics, even though fusion reactors play into that, we want the research speed. That's a benefit that it's passive and it compounds on itself. So, duh, no brainer there. An early off-world trading company. I've had times where like this doesn't come until halfway through the game for some stupid reason. Now the real question here is, do we go for the more society research or do we go for the pop growth? I think we go for the pop growth. Normally I am an advocate of research things that make you research faster, but pop growth is kind of key here. So we're going pop growth. For here, so with this specific tactic, or pretty much anytime you're trying to get robots, the minute you see powered exoskeletons, you take powered exoskeletons. It does not matter what the other offerings are. If you want robots, you take these. And this actually helps us out because it helps our workers, at least until we replace them with robots, make up for their weakness. And also a little bit of the army damage. So powered exoskeletons get. Really good, really happy to see that as my first engineering card. Right then, with that being said, we do have some replacements to do for some of these scientists. Let's take a look at our leader pool, see what's waiting in the wings. Oh, okay. We have 2 solid replacements. We can replace Society with the New World Specialist and our engineer with Maniacal. That's fine by me. We also have an adaptable governor. You better go into another to a better trait than that, buddy, or you're getting replaced when I have the energy. My instinct is to replace governors as quickly as possible so that the new ones can start getting experience faster, but money is an issue. Right then, so construction ship, we want this going as soon as possible, and my opener is, well, similar in this sense. We're going to hit up the minerals first, then the energy, then the science in the home area. And for our capital here, we're actually going to prioritize hooking up all of these resources before we even think about building anything here on our capital district or otherwise. Science ship, yes, of course, you need to go exploring. So that's a good way to... I think we send you up this way, and then we'll send another science ship down this way. It's probably a good idea. Just to get all this ground covered. Yeah, we'll explore the dead end, just in case there's something tasty in there. And then I'll reevaluate once you finish that. The other thing we're going to want to do with our shipyard here is immediately commission a new science ship. This is going to be doesn't matter even if our research scientists were great. You want a second science ship ASAP, and I'll show you how to get that going quickly. The other thing you want to get going quickly here, let us go here, are policies. Now, for the war philosophy, we do, I mean, this is not a pacifist run. We are not pacifists. That being said, by setting it to defensive wars, not only do we start the refresh timer, allowing us to pivot and change it back sooner, but if we bump into any pacifists in the early game, they'll be happier with us because we are defensive wars, even if we have no intention of staying that way in the long term. So it's just sort of making us look less harmful, less threatening, and possibly opening up some diplomacy that would otherwise be closed to us. Orbital bombardment, same idea here. We're going to go to selective. Again, we're going to look like we're weak, like we're very, very kid glovey and whatnot. But again, that just resets the timer and makes us look better. Resettlement, we definitely want that allowed. That's going to be put to use in here. First contact, I don't really see a reason to be aggressive, unless unless you're playing a devouring swarm or fanatical purifiers or whatnot. Peacefuls, always start with peace. You can always change it later. Initial border status open, that's fine. Food policy. Now this one I've kind of been playing around with. Dietary balance, there's nothing really wrong with that. Nutritional plentitude is useful, especially because it comes with pop growth speed, and the pop happiness certainly doesn't hurt either. But you know what? I might leave it at dietary balance until at least we get our initial colonies out. Then I might pivot it. For economic policy, I like to pop it over to mixed. We need our consumer goods to fuel our colony ships just as well as we do for our population. So, and going with either of the specializations, you only get a plus 15, but you get a minus 25. So you do suffer a bit of an overall penalty when you specialize one way or another. Trade policy, in the early game, we're going to leave it on wealth creation. This is an inefficient way to do your trade in the long term, but in the early game, we just need a lot of liquid energy credits. So keeping it like this, at least for a little bit of time, is going to be how we do it. Robotic workers allowed. This whole strategy kind of rests on their shoulders. Population controls allowed. Slavery is allowed, but obviously we are not enslaving our own people. And purge is displacement only. Although, you know what, we could do, again, with the whole kid gloves thing, we can say prohibited, just to make people happier with us. This is not a xenophobic playthrough. We're not going to be liquidating aliens and what have you. Alright, last thing we have here, edicts map the stars. So after they removed the plus 10% anomaly discovery chance from the discovery tree, this is map the stars is the only source of plus anomaly discovery chance left in the game, aside from having a meticulous scientist, which unfortunately we do not have. We want to get this and keep this online as much as possible, because all that extra 10% might spawn an extra anomaly, and given how powerful some of the anomalies are in this game, that might turn you into a long-term game-changing advantage that you can capitalize on. So map the stars goes on and it stays on. Right then, let us unpause here. Now, one thing I'm going to be doing here in the early, throughout the game here is I'm going to be doing a little bit of experimentation when it comes to pacing. So, obviously, I will be showing off all the things that I do in the game, all the decisions, all the important events, all the pretty much everything that's going on here. But when we have periods of time where we just need to wait for time pass, rather than showing it to you, even if it's on triple speed, I might just do some more heavy editing of the videos so that we just jump to the good bits. So I promise you I won't cut out any of the stuff that's legitimately important here. Alright, now here's a little gambit here for our science ship. So we want to get our second science ship online, ready to go as soon as possible. And we do actually want to take from our leaders here. But that being said, we do want to make sure, that we need 200 energy for that. But we want our science ship going right away. So what do? Well, let's just steal one of the leaders right now. I'm going to grab, we'll grab you. Of course, now we are missing someone, but we can do something about that. Why don't we sell a little food? We could sell some food, or you know what? We could sell some consumer goods. Both of these would get us a little bit of a thing. Now, the market fee is going to take a chunk out of our proceeds here, but that's still fine. It's ultimately fine. And actually, you know what? I'm going to do the food twice. So now we are over 200. Now we can actually hire a new scientist, and we'll grab our maniacal dude or dudette. I didn't check to see the gender on them. And now we have two different New Worlds protocols, which is fine. We just need one of them. So once our energy builds itself back up, we'll probably get a third science ship and populate that in there. But we need to build up enough alloys for another science ship anyway. But now we have another science ship that can go about doing its thing. So let us have it go about doing its thing. Now, you generally want to prioritize mapping out all the stars adjacent to your capital here, your home system here, because we want to ferret out where our seeded worlds are. All right. So, once again, construction ship, you are almost done.
Construction project concluded.
Thank you. One more tick. There we go. Orbital mining station for energy. Again, we need those energy credits sooner rather than later. Oh, hello. Savannah. Well, there's 2 for the price of 1.
System survey concluded.
Well, I know where 1 is, and that's usually black hole systems are pretty, well, black hole-y, but this one's pretty darn good. All right. We're surveying those, and Ocean World, not useful to us at the moment, but we'll get to it. All right, so now we want to get our physics online here. Again, we're hooking up all of these resources before we touch our planet and build our first building/district on there. Okay, we got our very first anomaly, and it is challenging. My kind of rule of thumb when it comes to anomalies is if it takes less than a year, the modified time is less than a year, just go for it, especially since we're going to have a lot of scientists out in the field. If it's going to take more than a year, in this case it will, then let's leave it be and we'll come back for it later. And our construction ship is ready here. Alright, well, not a very good resource thing, but plenty of planets for it, so I'm not complaining.
Evading hostiles.
Oh, for F's sake! A group of radical priests. We're fanatical materials! What do you mean, radicalized priests? What priests? We don't do priests. Oh, for Pete's sake. Alright, let's slow you down here. We haven't even tinkered with our ship designs yet. What I'm trying to do is I want to lure them, or at least get combat over here to the point of to where my starbase can help out. Because the last thing I want to do is lose ships, because this is essentially an even fight. But they are just outside the range of the starbase. So we're going to be losing some ships here. Especially since they have a freaking leader here. That's obnoxious. And I can't even retreat. That is obnoxious to the core.
Fleet silenced.
Yeah, that's embarrassing. I mean, they're not attacking our stuff. Construction ship, you're just going to need to you're going to just need to learn to live with them, and just don't go near them. Because as far as I can tell, they're just going to sit there. And the other thing is, I don't want the other guys sitting around there. So we got to deal with these freaking ships. But I don't want to waste the alloys on it. In fact, I'd rather have another science ship for our efforts here. What I mean, we could just analyze them and see what's their deal as far as their equipment. I actually was going to recommend we delete our ships. So the fact that we just lost our 3 ships doesn't really bother me that much. It's more annoying than anything. Let's do a little scan. Are you serious? You were down to 1 hull point. I couldn't make that conversion. Yeah, they're just crappy ships. They're all lasers, so we just need to counter with shields and lasers of our own. So freaking annoying. It's probably is this thing here. So let's design a ship to counter that. This is not necessarily my early game preference, but I do want to just get these things out of the way. So Interceptor, we'll go with 1 mass driver and 2 lasers, because that perfectly counters their setup. And 2 deflectors, 1 nanocomposite armor. There's no need for the reactor booster, because our reactor fits it just fine. I hate that they don't get rid of those auto. We will not be auto-generating designs. The paperclip. It's just going to hold on to things for a little bit. Again, I hate having to build ships this early. And this is not the focus that I want. What I do want to focus on, however, is our traditions. And after analyzing all the reworks to the trees, especially after the huge nerf to discovery here, expansion is the tree to start with, no matter your type. And this is unfortunate because I was hoping to have it where different trees would appeal to be your first pick, but really expansion should be your first pick for almost every build. At least at the current state of the balance in 2.2.4. So we're going to grab that. Colony development speed and plenty more goodness to be had below. Yeah. So what is our paperclip class ships are 100 apiece, so we could start building them. But again, I do want to get my extra science ship online. Now, let's take a look at our governor, since we do have enough to buy some leader out there, if not necessarily a... Oh yeah, so one thing I do want to get here... we are probably going to be... Yeah, we're going to be going into unemployment fairly soon. That's okay. I mean, it's not okay, but we can build ourselves a, shortly be able to build ourselves a mining district to give ourselves a little bit more, a couple more jobs going here and get our mineral base going a little bit better. But let's take a look at our governor. Let's see who is available. Crime's not a problem. That's the same thing, but the intellectual. I think you are worth getting. And swapping into. So we'll get our 3rd science ship once we clear this crap out. You can also save back up for an admiral.
Anomaly found.
Alright, under a year. Just insta-research it, please. The reason I go for the insta research under a year is, yes, you could wait for them to get some skill levels and come back to it and research it even faster, but the time it takes you to send them all the way back to that system when you'd rather them being out on the fringes and exploring kind of defeats the time saving. So again, under a year, just muscle through it. You know, even if they're slightly under leveled, that's fine. All right, let's build a couple of our paper clips here. Get this nonsense out of here. Sonified science, excellent. Yeah, usually the lower level ones aren't that impressive anyway. Now the other thing is, even without these guys here, I'm not even though we have the influence for it, I'm not going to be hooking up new systems here until we get one more unity boost.
System survey concluded.
So decent systems around. Well, this one's kind of crappy, but we kind of need to grab it to get everything else in here. Do we want to spring for an admiral? I probably should, just so they can start cooking the experience, but with us perfectly built to counter them, and them at half health, we should win this without the admiral. I'm just going to wait for the 3 ships to be finished building, and then we can just ultimately use them for... Oh, I never built my district, did I? Which is actually fine, because I don't actually want to build the mining district first. I want to actually build this thing. We actually want to dive right into our bureaucratic complex here. This is that special building that we get for being a Byzantine bureaucracy. This gives us 2 more administrator jobs. Now, you might say, all right, well, so yeah, they produce unity. So who cares? You can get that with the monument here, along with some extra society research. You could get this with the entertainment. The holo theaters here with them. Why don't you just do that? Well, the reason is, both the holo theater and the monument researchers consume extra consumer goods, quite a bit of them actually, whereas the bureaucratic complex produces it from nothing. Now granted, these are ruler level jobs and they will have higher consumer good needs naturally, but not as high as the monument and the others. The other thing is, it actually has a knock-on effect, especially, and this is the other reason I went with authoritarian, is the more rulers you have on a planet in ratio to the lower classes, because authoritarian stratified society puts more emphasis on the happiness of the rulers, and they get a plus 15% happiness, the overall stability of the whole planet will go up when we have more rulers level jobs on it. So this is sort of a indirect bonus to our stability level for all of our planets by having this, which is why we're starting with this, because, you know, just boosting the stability will then boost everything else. So bada boom, bada bing. Bureaucratic complex first build. And yeah, there's the extra pop. They'll be fine. We should.
Situation log.
We should.
Updated.
It'll build fast enough that we're not going to start getting unemployment events.
Project concluded.
All right. You know what? We've got enough food for 2 things. One, I'm okay now with the food policy going to plentitude. Secondly, we can do a little bit more trading here, where we sell our food. So you know what? What the hey? We'll get ourselves an admiral, so they can start training up here. Now, aggressive is certainly quite good, especially, you know what, I do like the aggressive, so we want the younger of the admirals, so they stick around a little bit more here. Oh, I don't remember if they ever added the death chance, but hey, that works. Alright, now we have an admiral, we have our ships, let's go clear this nonsense out. And now there's going to be even more nonsense floating around.
Initializing hostile engagement protocols.
Yeah, good, you actually took down the one that was crippled. We should be able to...
Situation log updated.
Alright, we just gotta take out this last ship. And then I guess we do a project, I believe, yeah, research project, quote unquote, which is basically just having our ships board. Curious that that's like the only form of like boarding they have in this game. That would certainly be a very strategic option to sort of build the ships around. It was a big mechanic back in Master of Orion 2, the game I say is the sort of the
special project concluded.
Basically the game I played to death before Stellaris came out. All right, so we've got so now having cleared them out, that's going to pepper our systems with other things here. So we kind of need to send our task force out just to go ferret them out. Or I guess go rat them out. Once again, we have enough to expand out here, but again, I'm waiting for one more tradition here before that happens. So yeah, we're slow playing it a little bit here, but don't worry, things will go gangbusters pretty quickly. Get them properly fixed up and tuned up. And then I'll just sweep the area. It's obviously not these two systems because our science ships would... wow. That's a lot of minerals. No, I hope that's not the schmuck bait system. Because as much as I'd love to, I do not want to deal with schmuck bait this early in the game. Alright, next policy, or next tradition, rather. So, we actually want this one, Reach for the Stars. Before you buy any new outposts, might as well wait for this one so that every outpost you buy is cheaper and you stretch your limited early game influence further. Now, my friends, we are able to do our stuff. Because we're waiting for our ships to sweep the area, I think I'm just going to start by getting Zoltar's Maws hooked up, and then we'll probably pop over to Diadem to get them up and running and get our colonies online sooner rather than later. So, let us begin. Alright, so if you guys liked this episode and you want to see more like it, go ahead and hit that like button, hit that subscribe button, and leave me a comment, good, bad, or indifferent. Your feedback's always welcome. So until next time, this has been Pinstar signing out. See ya!